Today, I'm very excited to have an absolutely amazing person on the show today. My name is Roger Wesley, host of the Successfully Unemployed podcast, and we interview people that have become successfully unemployed so that way they can share their insights with us so they can help us too. And today, I have an amazing man. He's a father. He's obviously successfully unemployed. He's traveled to 100 countries multiple times. He invests in real estate. And above all, he's an absolutely amazing man. Please meet Mr. Maurice Philogene. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
My man, I'm taking you wherever I go with intros like that. Whatever you need, you let me know. I got that 20 waiting for you when you're ready.
I tell you the truth, that was a genuine intro. And, for the person listening, I've been following you for the last 3 years on LinkedIn. I stumbled across you when I was working in the tech industry. A friend had shared
Yeah.
one of your posts, and I said, wow, this is someone who has it figured out. And if you wouldn't mind, could you share a little bit of your background, how you got here? What are you doing now?
Sure. Sure. So in the context of successfully unemployed, I'm 49. I like to start at the where I am now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm 49 years old now, happily 49 years old, father of two. I live between coastal Maryland. I say coastal Maryland and coastal Lebanon on purpose. And that's because I'm a thalassophile, which means I'm a lover of water. I don't feel good when I'm inland too much. So I
Mm.
purposefully live by the water in two places. Relative to the context of your podcast, I spent 25 years in corporate, just like yourself. I know your company very well. You guys were clients for a long time, or I used your software for a long time. So I was at Accenture for 25 years, corporate, military, retired as a lieutenant colonel, and I was a federal agent in the military for 22. And in the middle of all that, I became a midnight police officer for 15 years in the DC area. I've always been a real estate investor, which has helped me become successfully unemployed. But I think that notion of successfully unemployed is a very interesting one because if you follow me on social media, you know that I say I've never bashed anything that I've done in my life. In fact, those experiences that I just suggested to you, while they don't define who I am, they're a very significant portion of my life book, and I'm grateful to them. So what I say is people, it's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5 or your job or your career. It's something wrong with the way that we approach it. And I
Mhm.
approached it in a very unique way. I leveraged it for experience, skills, money, invested the money in real estate outside, and I find myself successfully unemployed. However, I started a private equity firm with a few partners 5 years ago. We have maybe $220 million worth of real estate under management. And I do some real estate stuff in the Mediterranean, developing some land and a bunch of other things too. But yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a journey, but I am right exactly where I'm supposed to be. 49, spending more time with my kids. My 25-year-old is here today from Atlanta. So me, him, and my youngest are spending time together for a couple weeks, and then I'll go back to the Med. I've designed my life. I'll come back, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm in a good position.
I love how you shared that, talking about the fact of being a father and being married with 4 kids myself. When I
Yeah.
talk to people, it's one of the first things I tell them. I say, I'm a husband and father, and I'm a Christian, and that's what really defines who I am. So I love how you talk about that and how you share that because that's, in my opinion, the most important thing, your contribution to your family, and how can you do that to the highest level possible. So
Yeah.
you're 49 now. When was it that you walked away from corporate America forever?
Man, I walked away. It was strategic, but I walked away October 31st, 2021. November 2nd, 2021, by habit, I logged in, I went to my computer and typed in mail.accenture.com. I mean, I have been doing it for 25 years, you know what I mean? But interestingly, 1 month earlier, so that was October 31st, 4:30 p.m. on that day, I'll always say her name because I'm so grateful. Elaine Turville, who still works there. This woman knew how to manage my personality and knew how to get the best out of me because she always would. I kind of, in a weird way, I kind of trained her to this, but she reacted and we worked well together. She was all about outcomes. So every summer she would ask me, what do you want to get out of your life this year? She's the reason why I stayed for so long. I was technically financially free probably around 33, 34, around 38. I really had everything I needed, but I stayed another 8 years. You know what I mean? So that was good. But 30 days before that, on September the 30th, I retired from the police department after 15 years of service. And then 2 years before that, October, October 9th, 2019, I retired from the military. So I had this period of like massive transition, which was challenging. And I've made posts about this. One of the things I tell people about it is like I was financially capable, especially because of real estate at the time. At the time, I think maybe I own like 2,000 apartments and I had already gone on my financial freedom journey. So it's not like I didn't have financial ability. It's just that we are very wired when your arm has been tapped with that W-2 income
Mhm.
for almost 3 decades. And I had a lot of fear. I had a lot of fear and was super emotional, had to shift identities and all that type of stuff. So, but yeah, 2021 was the big, big transition year.
Wow. There's so much we could go into from that.
Yeah.
Financially independent by 33, really had it under wraps by 38, but stayed for another 8 years. So, if you don't mind sharing, how did you actually overcome that fear? What was it that did it that helped you to be able to move forward?
Man, I don't have the best answer for you because I think we can talk about it in reflection like we knew what was happening. I didn't because I walked out of University of Virginia in 1997. Then Anderson Consulting gave me a job and I never left them. I survived 4 layoffs over the decades and I managed a lot of things which we should probably talk about with respect to your listeners, but I'm grateful to them, you know? But when I did leave, something strange started to happen, which is how you and I came to meet each other. I had an interview. I met a gentleman by the name of Jerome Myers somewhere in 2019. I was still working at Accenture at the time. He was non-Accenture related. I think I was at a mastermind or a real estate conference or something like that. Brother out of North Carolina. I haven't talked to him in a little bit, but he asked me to come on his podcast, and it was the first time I had ever gone on a podcast show. And I told him what you know effectively about me. And he's like, how come you're not telling people what you did and your entrepreneurial depression and your 15 years of police during the night, Accenture during the day? How did you do it? How did you buy all those condos and get them paid off? Why are you not telling anybody? And I explained to him the reason I never talked about the journey while I was in it is because I didn't want the negativity associated with it. I didn't want impressions. I didn't want, well, Maurice is not in the office today, so maybe he was patrolling last night and he's too tired. Nobody ever knew what I was doing because I never told anybody. I never told anybody. So he got me thinking. And finally, in early 2021, the writing was on the wall because that amazing lady, Elaine, asked me again that summer, what are we doing this year, Maurice? Do you want to get promoted to partner? I'm going to put you in the partner. I'm going to try to put you in the partner track for the fourth time, but you keep saying no. And I looked at her I was in the Department of Agriculture cafeteria, which was our client. And I said, no, I think I'm done. I just felt it. You know what I mean? I just totally felt it. So I started posting about my journey on LinkedIn organically. It just happened. I didn't even care about LinkedIn at the time. My strength for it all came from the flood of questions from people and how did you do this and will you coach me in how you designed your life, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Then I started to realize there was a lot of power in it. Then I leaned into it. I didn't care because I knew I was leaving. And then I will summarize all that by saying when I did leave corporate military police in that time frame, I got my brain back. And by that I mean I'm a very technical oriented guy. I was mechanical engineering undergrad, information systems graduate, IT systems implementation that you know very well. That was my brain. But all of a sudden, 3 months later, I started creating stuff. Try Life On kind of came around, started kind of executive producing some TV shows, et cetera, et cetera. So it was just, I got energy from other people because I realized I had done what many people wanted to do, but I never did it for other people. I was just trying to build my life book. And, that's where the courage came from.
Wow, I love that. And, I'm so grateful to that gentleman that asked you to go on that first podcast because
Yeah,
the
good
other
dude.
side of that was someone like me who had been an entrepreneur from 2018 up until the end of 2021 and decided, you know what, I'm going to go back into the job world reluctantly. I needed to do it for my family. At least that's what I told myself I needed to do. But
Yeah.
January 2022 is when I started at this new company, the software company. And within a week or two of me being on LinkedIn, I saw your post and I was feeling down on myself. I wouldn't say depressed, but I definitely wasn't thrilled about being a W-2 employee again. While I was grateful for the opportunity, I was really just that creative aspect of being an entrepreneur really has always spoken to me. And I saw one of your posts and I was like, wow. And just for the person listening, I saw so much that I could relate with you
Yeah.
just in terms of your size and your stature and our background. I was like, wow, there's someone just like me that's doing it, that's did it. And I started looking at your post and it really just kept me grounded to what my overall vision was. So I'm so grateful to that person that asked you to be on that podcast.
Thank
And I'm
you.
so grateful to Elaine that said, hey, what do you want to do this year for you to be able to have this? You know what? I'm done. So I love that. So
Yeah. Shout out to her and shout out to Jerome too.
Absolutely. So then let me ask you this. You said that you thought that it may be good to unpack some of that, some of those experiences that
Oh
you
yeah.
went through. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. What I was referring to is like, okay, so you hear senior executive. So I'm going to talk about two things, and let me just state the two things so I don't forget. You can help me remember. The first thing is,
Mhm.
why did I turn down four promotions? That's really important. The second thing is, how did I navigate 25 years of corporate nonsense? Because I did. So I don't want anyone thinking he worked there 25 years, everything was rosy. No, I navigated four layoffs while I was
Mm.
there. But I did it a very unique, smart, and very quiet way that nobody ever knew about. But I talk about it now because I'm not there. And that's the thing. When people are on social media, I tend to talk about things when they are done. Like if you talk about it while it's going on, the dopamine hits you and you lose energy to go do those things. So that I think that's what has resonated with people. I was talking about stuff I already did, not stuff that I was doing. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So on the first thing, as far as the partner track at my firm, to be clear, I was not offered partner. I was offered to go into the partner track, and I said no. And the reason I said no four times. So I got the he's been here 20 years, he's not a partner, what's wrong with him kind of vibe all the time. In the back of my head, I was like, I'm not tripping. They don't know that I'm investing all this money in real estate and building a portfolio and traveling to 100 countries. Like nobody had no idea what I was doing. But we get out of formal education, we go into the system, and at Accenture, the ladder is or was as follows: analyst to consultant, consultant to manager, manager to senior manager to in the partner track, and then you have to do a lot of things to get to partner. When I got to senior manager in 2013, I was like, stop, stop, stop. This makes no sense. Yes, I'm getting promotions. Yes, I'm making a bit more pay, but I'm also getting a ton more responsibility, a lot more hours. I'm not getting freedom. There's something off about this whole thing that didn't resonate with me. It didn't mean I didn't want to work. That's not what I'm saying, because if you talk to any of my previous clients, they'll tell you, now Maurice was always hustling. But what it did mean was that I was very aware, especially in 2013 when that hit me, of Pareto's law: do the 20% of things that work that give you the 80% of the result. And I would save my time to go be a police officer, save my time to work on real estate shit, save my time to go travel. I did not want to be in the corporate limelight of like, he's a partner, he has a $10 million sales target. Where's his sales? We haven't seen it. Those are the people that are, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's your goal. But my goal, that wasn't my goal. My goal was time freedom, financial freedom, location freedom, purpose related freedom, being a police officer, building awesome relationships with people like Roger. So I protected my time. So every time I got asked to be promoted, it's like, nah, I'm good. Nobody understood what I was doing. So I just want to throw that out there to people, because if you're going to follow the status quo track of things, know what you're making not making a decision is making a decision. You're just defaulting. So everybody was going to the happy hours, doing all the employee resource groups, and to be on kissing a lot of people's ass because they're trying to get some title, or maybe 2 years down the road because they made a relationship with someone, maybe they get promoted. And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go out there and build my life book. I'm good with that. So I wanted to give people that sense. I did that not only at Accenture, but also in the military. When I got to lieutenant colonel, I had a track to get to full bird colonel, but I would have had to stay to headquarters. And I'm a field guy. I was running federal law enforcement offices all over the world, man. I was having so much fun. I was Jason Bourning it, James Bonding it. It was just awesome. And to think that I was going to sit in headquarters for 3 years writing policy. Now, it's our responsibility to take all of our field experience, go write policy, because it'll affect the rest of the organization. But that was not my role. That was not the way that I wanted to live my life, so you can make that choice. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. And then the second thing quickly about navigating 3 decades, the career is there till it's not. And we're all expendable. We are. I literally 2 days ago, I posted this. I thought when I left on October 31st, 2021, that the 25 years of corporate experience and knowledge and relationships was going to be impossible for it to dissipate anytime soon. That there was going to be a big vacuum that was the previous Maurice Philogene, right? Nah, brother. Within 48 hours, it was like I never existed. So had I not invested in all that real estate, had I waited till I was 43 years old to travel to all those countries, or to act on all those TV shows and movies, or to travel around the world or whatever, I would have never had all these experiences and stuff. I'm grateful to them, but I was never under any illusion that I was there to, one, do their mission, but two, damn sure do mine at the same time. So I want to give people that dichotomy.
Wow, that is so impactful. And just listening to your story and having followed you over the course of the last few years, I think the thing that is so amazing is how you did it, and you did it so well. So I wanted to ask you if you'd be willing to share. Aren't you an immigrant, or didn't you come from, you were
Yeah.
born in, I mean, it's not like you had the silver, you weren't born with the silver spoon. You didn't
Oh
have the
no,
handout.
no,
What, like,
no.
tell us about that. How did this, where did this mindset come about? How did you develop this from the time you started working? I mean, it was this, wow.
I had two pivotal events in my life that made this happen. But to be clear, I come from a Haitian immigrant family. My father and mother are from Haiti. I was born in New York, but me and my brother spoke French and Haitian Creole in the house growing up. I think I kind of converted over to English towards around like 7, 8, lost the accent. Nobody knows what the hell I am now because I just talk like a normal dude or whatever. I still speak French, especially when I'm in Lebanon and stuff like that, or France or whatever. I had two things that happened to me in my life that made all this go. The first thing was my father was very smart, and when I was 15 years old, he sent me to France on a 30-day road trip. Well, he sent me to France to spend time with the family of the exchange student that had stayed with us the previous summer. That's it. He's like, get your ass on a plane. It was 1990. No cell phones, no nothing. I land this white family. I don't really understand who they are. And Francois, the dad, is like, hey, grab your stuff. I said, where are we going? Well, we're going to drive around France for 30 days. Change me, man. Because to that point in my life, all I knew was I want to play in the NFL. I need to get the freshest Nike sneakers. I need to take the T, which is the metro, downtown Boston, go see some girls. Like I didn't know. I just knew Boston. I knew the Celtics. I knew the Red Sox. I knew Michael Jordan. Like I just didn't know a lot of things. That was the first thing. And also, I was going to a private high school that my dad worked his butt off to get me into. So I was a very confused kid because I would see all this affluence and I didn't have it. But then when I went on his trip, I'm like, so life can feel like this? It was French girls, French wine, French food, French funerals, French weddings, French weed, French Boy Scouts, French castle. I didn't have any. We were not poor, but we didn't have what I had was a solid family core. I had
Mm,
love, and my dad is a very staunch man of faith. So we had a very strong family core. But that experience, international experience, fundamentally changed the path of my life. That was the first thing. Because I'm like, if this feels like this, where else can I have these emotions? You know what I mean? The second event was I found Personal Finance for Dummies, the book, when I was 21. And it had a passage in it about passive income. And I put two and two together and I was like, so you're telling me that there's a way to generate revenue without me having to physically be somewhere, which means I have time. And if I have time, then I have control. If I have control, I can go back to when I was 15 and have all those experiences. So from age 21, and then I did my first investment real estate deal when I was 25, 26. I was always doing stuff for experiences, relationships, and to generate passive income because I wanted to live more. And that's where the mindset came from. So there was no Google back then. There was no LinkedIn back then. I was always in aisle 6 of the Fairfax County Library. I say this all the time in my posts and stuff. I was always reading real estate books. I took a real estate book to my first investment closing. I was like, checklist, read HUD statement. Okay, read HUD statement. I don't know what it says, but okay. Number two, check recordation taxes. Yeah, those are 50-50. Yeah. And then I just signed a thing and I walked out and I was like, I think I just closed on an investment property. I did it by myself, man. I did it by myself. It took me 5 years to save that down payment, but I did it. That's where all the mindset stuff came from. I had a life experience that made me quickly realize that life is not about money, it's about experiences and relationships. I've always had that mindset. The moment I have chased money, I've made mistakes. The moment I have used money to experience more life, I keep growing and getting bigger and better. But that's where it all came from.
wow. So impactful.
Yeah.
There's so many wonderful things that we could dive into. Yeah, it's been said that 97% of Americans do not have a library card. And the
Mm.
sheer fact that you got the book out of the library and took it to the closing, what was that book that helped you to do that?
I don't remember the exact title of the book, but it was a book about investing in condos.
Wow.
That's all it
Wow.
was. And in that area, I was in Northern Virginia at the time, and in that area at that time, you could find $100,000 condos, which meant you just needed about 20 grand down to do the deal. But this is back in the 2000s when there was weird stuff going on, like no doc loans. You didn't have to prove your salary. They were giving zero down loans. Like people gave me as a 26-year-old, the amount of money I was getting from these loan companies was insane, which is exactly why the 2008 bubble happened. It was funny money. And
Wow.
I got caught in 2008, but I didn't, I bent heavily, but I didn't break. I'm glad I made it through, but it was brutal. But yeah, man, it was because I had a why. And my why was I want life to feel like it did when I was on that trip when I was 15. I
Wow.
refuse to not create a life where I get up every day the way that I do today and be like, all right, man, what's going to make you happy today? All right, let's go do that.
Wow.
I'm
So
not
you held on to that dream from 15 all the way to 25. And then 8 years later, you had purchased enough real estate where you could have walked away. And then 3 years after that, you really had it set. And you just continue to, as you say, try life on and continue
yeah.
to build and to build on top of that.
Yeah, because there was an involvement to that whole thought process. The original thought process was, look, I'm going to work at this company, I'm going to make this money, I'm going to buy this real estate, and I'm going to bounce. But because I had the mindset of what I now call trying life on, which is designing your life or lifestyle design, I realized that I was getting those emotions out of experiences while I was on the journey. I
Mm.
was going to Brazil 40 times. I was acting in a Disney movie. I tried out for the NFL when I was 21, and then I just missed football. So I went to Accenture quietly. I didn't really tell anybody what I was doing. I went to HR and I presented them a solution that they could support, not a problem they had to solve. And I said, look, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to get my master's degree in information systems. It's going to make me more marketable. It's going to get you guys more revenue as someone you can bill out. They're like, okay, go to school. But in fact, the reason I was going to school was to play football. So I worked 20 hours a week and got my master's degree and played football because I wanted another shot at the NFL. That season didn't go very well, by the way. I'm just, bruh, when you are 26 years old and you have 19-year-olds running around you, it's a totally different experience. It was the best. It was the best, but it wasn't so much about real estate and investing was certainly something that gave me economic empowerment and I knew mentally I was free. But I also realized that Accenture was giving me experiences. Like I worked for national police forces as an Accenture consultant in like 14 countries, a role that I created, by the way, because I wanted the experience of going around the country. So I created a role and got them to approve it. I was leveraging the 9 to 5 more than it was leveraging me. Same thing with my military service. That's why I became a federal agent, started running all those field offices around the world. Same thing with my police department. They said, hey, you're a lieutenant colonel in the military. You should be a sergeant or a lieutenant. Maybe we can even hop you to captain. I was like, nope, no, thank you. I just wanted to be a patrol officer at the police department because I was back in the huddle. And then when the shift is over, I didn't want to take work home. I just leave it. So I would take off my uniform, sleep, go put on my Accenture suit and go to work. But I wasn't thinking about the police department. You have to leverage the 9 to 5 more than it leverages you. But while I was doing that underneath, I was always investing in real estate because I knew a day was going to come. I didn't want to work. They were going to tell me, you cannot work here anymore, or I was just going to age out. So I gradually transitioned off career highway onto lifestyle lane, and I had the assets to do it. But I didn't wait to create the life book along the way.
Wow. And when I say this, I mean this in all sincerity. You have lived the life of 10 men. I mean, the most interesting man in the world has nothing on you. Tell us a little bit, if you can, about the travel hacking. How did you said I'm trying to understand, so I've been to a couple of countries, like I've been to
Yeah.
Canada, I've been to Mexico, the ones that touch the United States of America, but I'm trying to wrap my head around traveling to 97 different countries while having a W-2 in America and not coming home and telling a single coworker how amazing my weekend was and how I did it for so inexpensively. I can't even, like, you were making good dollar at Accenture and you just figured out a way to travel inexpensively. How did you do that?
One, I didn't tell anybody. I think that's the most important thing. Nobody needs to know your business because as soon as they know your business, listen, I am a man of faith now, and I do believe in the power of the subconscious mind and I didn't know it back then, but our inner world really powers our outer world. So our inner thoughts power our outer world. So if I was to tell somebody, hey man, I'm running up to the Finnish Arctic tonight. What do you mean tonight? It's Wednesday. You got to work Monday. I know. How are you going to get back? I got it. It's not possible. Sure it is. If you put yourself in that position, then your thoughts are now affected by that person's thoughts. And now because you have those thoughts, your actions are going to be a result of those thoughts. So I wouldn't have went. You see what I'm saying? Or like Beirut, when I'm in Beirut all the time now. Of course there's issues there, but there's issues in downtown DC. There's issues in inner city Chicago. If I listen to everybody else, then I would never have the experience that I've had being in Lebanon 80 times since 80 times I've gone and things of that nature. But the travel hacking thing, it's not travel hacking is not science. It's not like, oh, get this points, it's free. That's not what it is. It is your ability to make the world smaller. It is your ability to shift your mindset from what you just said, and there's nothing wrong with it, but what you just said was like, hey, I've kind of done the Canada, the Mexico, a couple Caribbean. But I tell people, you know how you go to 7-Eleven or Walmart on the weekend? Well, I fly to Turkey to read a book and I come right back. And the only reason it's extraordinary to anyone who's listening is because they don't do it. But I do. Okay, well, Maurice, that's a lot. Are you sure? Have you tried it? Well, when I go look right now, the itinerary says $1,700. Can't you improve that and over time figure out ways to get it less and less and less expensive? Just like anything in life. When you go to a gas station and the gas is I don't know, 79 a gallon, you buy it, but don't you then look on your app to see if there's a cheaper gas station somewhere close by? Why can't we do that with getting to different places in the world? So I
Mm.
taught myself how to do that. I created a system. But the biggest thing is like, I wasn't doing it so I could put pins on my map. I was doing it because I wanted experiences. I wanted to learn something. You and I, when we were 10 years old, we would go out in the neighborhood, ride the bike, hop the fences, play hide and seek, which in my neighborhood in Boston, we call Relivio, play this sport, play that sport, talk to this girl, talk to that guy. Like we were always exploring life. And then we get into grade school and high school, and it goes from creativity, which is life, to competition. Me and Roger got to compete for the AP classes. Roger's trying to get to Harvard, but I can only go to community college. So I think Roger's a better person than I am. Like they push that on us. And
Mm.
then we get into college, and it by extension, it's competition. We get into the work world. Now me and Roger are competing for the cube on the left front side of the floor with a window for the executive VP spot. So Roger's staying at work till 9 p.m. to prove himself, and I'm staying at work till 10 p.m. to try and beat Roger. We're just missing life. We're
Mm.
missing life. So we've gone from living and creativity to conformity. And
Mm.
I recognize that. And I'm like, how do I create? And one of the best ways you can create is to stay in a state of constant learning. So now you understand why I did those multiple careers. It wasn't because I was trying to prove something. I wanted to create a feeling, create a life, create experiences, momentum, relationships. And travel hacking was just one of the tools that I used to kind of figure it out over the years. And I have so many tactics that I can't even. I put a post out on it today. Like I posted my basic framework for doing it, but it's not to get places. It's to make sure that I have it. Like I'm in coastal Maryland today. I just got back 2 days ago. I'm with my kids. I'll be here until Sunday. I'll get on a plane on Wednesday. Me and my oldest son will go to the airport together. He'll fly to Atlanta. I'll fly back to Beirut. My youngest will go with his mom. I'll do the Mediterranean stuff for about 8 days. I'll travel hack my way back the following Sunday, and I'll be right back with my kid. And my oldest is going to fly up from Atlanta to meet us. And what that does, you see how it makes our world small? I can be
Mm.
anywhere in the world, but my family is always connected, always. So it's not points and hotels, and it's not what it is, brother. It's to affect a beautiful life, and a beautiful life is beautiful emotions. And you get that from finding the things and people and experiences that make you feel good on a day-to-day basis. And most of the time, or some of the time, it's not next door. It might
Wow.
be around the world. So I go.
Wow, that is so impactful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
There's so many nuggets that you shared there, and it reminds me of something that I heard on your podcast where
Okay.
you said you noticed that from the most successful people,
Mhm.
that the character trait that they had in common was that they would remove themselves from
Yes.
conversations that went contrary to what they believed in. And it reminded me of what you were sharing. If you would
Yeah.
have told your coworkers, how can you go to this Finnish Arctic Circle? How can you go to Beirut? That's not possible, and it would have affected your thought
Thought
process in doing
process.
that.
Yeah.
And then what you said about that family unit shrinking the world. We were made to create. There's so many different. I wish I had 6 hours with you so that the listeners, because this is going to reach a lot of people. I know it will. It's going to impact many, many people.
Yeah.
I'm just so excited for people to get to know how to be able to live life like this, because there's so much opportunity out there. And I would love it if you could share with us. You at the beginning you said that you had, I believe, I'm not the best at math, but
It's
I
okay.
believe you said two, there's a two, and then there's a zero, $220 million.
Oh, $220 of real estate.
How in the world? Help us to understand. Explain to me as if I was a preschooler. What do you mean when you say that?
Really?
Wow.
I don't own $220 million of real estate. I want to make that clear. That's a bit of a vanity metric, but I like to say the number because it shows the activity. Now, remember when I said create? We should be creating. We shouldn't be conforming. That's what this formal education system does. I'm a believer in formal education, especially because both of my parents were educators. My dad is a 30-year retired principal. He served his butt off, you know. My mama is a 22-year guidance counselor. She served her butt off. But the way the schooling system is set up is for us to conform. So you and I spit out at the end and we go work for our software and IT companies. Now, there's nothing wrong with our software and IT companies. Nothing. There's something wrong with the way we approach it. I just approached it, different. The real estate thing. I've had 3 real estate lives. The first one was when I found that book. So my first real estate life is 2002 to 2014. I started buying condos in the DC area. Please, people don't get stuck on, well, I should buy condos. I should buy any asset is a good asset. It just so happens the first thing I ever bought was a condo, so I stuck with it. I met this amazing broker in her 70s. I always give respect to her because I can't remember her name, but this is a long time ago, so my assumption is she's passed now. She gave me great advice, and she said, Maurice, if you keep buying these $100,000 little things that you have the ability to store, not save, store. I stored money for my paycheck, and when I had enough, I would go buy an asset with it. You have enough money that you can buy these things over time and you can pay them off and you'll have a pension. When she said pension, it stuck with me because my dad, being an educator, was working on his pension. He's immigrant dude. He's like, I got to work my butt off to get this pension so me and your mama are okay later in life. So it's like, oh man, I can create a pension. So if the rent on one of the condos was $800, okay, and let's say I had expenses and I'm only cash flowing $50 a month when I bought the thing in 2002, okay? But what I did was when I bought 10 of them, some of them appreciated. I took, let's say, the 4 that appreciated, sold them, took the money, paid down the other 6. I didn't go buy the Benz. I never did it. I paid them out. I paid them down, and then I used money from my paycheck to systematically continue to pay them down. And I found myself in 2014 with 18 paid off places, generating 13 grand a month. That was my first real estate life. So now you can tie back what I said at the beginning of the conversation. It was like, what you mean you didn't take the promotion to partner? If I would have took the promotion to partner, I would not have had the hustle time to go buy all those condos, to deal with the tenants, to paint them, to clean them out when I had to, and things of that nature. I was hustling in the background. I needed to protect and create time. That's why I never did it. That's my first real estate life. It won me my financial freedom. But as I told you, life is not about money. So I stayed. Second real estate life. I did really good on the single family. I'm very proud of 23-year-old me for making that decision. But when I got to age 38, I had been doing the same thing for 15 years and I was burning out. I was like, man, yes, I'm doing good. Yes, I'm making some money, but life is not about money, man. You got to grow. You got to be doing something different. And that a lot of things happened, but I somehow found my way to a multifamily seminar, buying apartment complexes. I did a couple deals on my own, including 2 mobile home parks with one partner. Very scary. I got a paid for mentor to do it, a mindset mentor, really. And the 220 million comes from the fact, now here's what I mean, creation. The first real estate life was $5 million of paid off real estate. Again, I'm very proud of 23-year-old me. I don't know what that brother was thinking, but if I could hug him, I would, because he went through a lot to do that. It was brutal at times, really brutal. But in 2018, I found my now business partner, Aaron, at a real estate conference in Boston. We decided to do a deal with 3 other people. We did that deal so well, it closed in January of 2020. It was a 36-unit building down in Knoxville, Tennessee. We decided to stay together. They were like, you want to stay together? I'm like, no, I don't want to stay together. I don't know. And the reason I didn't want to was because I was so used to doing things on my own. I don't like influence of a lot of people on my life because I had, to that point, had a successful life. But I took a chance, I took a risk, and we closed like 30 apartment complexes in 3 years. We raised, I want to say like $110 million from investors or something like that. So that's where it comes from. I own a portion. I have a certain ownership interest in now 16. I think we still have 16 of them, apartment complexes around the US. That's where that figure comes from. But I know I'm being wordy, but my last real estate life, I'm on my 3rd one now, and it is my real estate work in the Mediterranean. I'm developing land with a partner in Cyprus. I'm looking for agricultural land right now in Lebanon. It has zero to do with money. Nothing. Nothing. It was all because I wanted a different lifestyle. I'm grateful for New York, where I was born. I'm grateful for Boston that raised me. I'm grateful for University of Virginia and by extension getting to the Washington, D.C. area. I've been on the East Coast of the U.S. my entire life, well, up to age 40 roughly. I have no more to learn here. If I stay, I'm just existing, and I don't want that kind of life. So I leveraged another thing, which was my entrepreneurial background. I'm like, man, I'm going to see how I can be a respected business person, but in the med, because the med means something to me, which is a whole different story. And then I found a business partner. We started all these deals, and now I'm doing this other stuff. So now it's like I'm building a neighborhood of 12 villas. I'm keeping one, and then I'm building the equivalent of a condo complex, which will have a restaurant and a pool and a spa and stuff in Cyprus. I will make money, but that's not the point. I didn't want to be the American dude, especially the brother who just goes there and just sits in the restaurant and drinks all day and then gets on a plane and leaves. I wanted to be part of the community in some respect because it gives me access. Oh no, he's a developer. He's a good dude. So now I know everybody on the island. That's life. That's the good stuff about it. So that's how all the real estate stuff happened. That's how those numbers. So what I say $250 million of real estate across 2 countries, almost 3, 200 acres of land right now, and no employees.
And you're 49.
I'm 40.
Let's not leave that part out. 49 years old. Wow.
Yeah,
wow. You know, I have to call you Mr. Maurice. I just feel like I'm just in the presence of just an amazing man, an amazing mind that's just I'm trying not to use word like transcended, where so many of us have.
I'm just a normal cat.
But you know, people, they have to, there's too much here. I mean, I would be here with you for 12 hours just diving in, taking notes. I'm going to listen to this podcast episode 4 times myself because I need to pick up everything that you share in the mindset and the thought process. And, you know, there's a couple more things I want to ask you about, but, you know, let me just ask you this, right? You posted this one.
You killing me, brother.
I'm keeping it real because it just the person that you were 3 years ago spoke to me so much, and you've continued to be that person today. And it speaks so much to the listener who wants the opportunity to live, to do amazing and wonderful things. And you've done those things and you've shared your journey. And there was something that you posted on LinkedIn a few years ago. And I went back and one thing I really enjoy about you, Maurice, is that you repost things every so often. Like every few months you say, this is the blueprint. I'm reposting it. I repost
over and over and over because if people go to trylifeon.com and go to newsletter, it's either 19 or 21, but I think it's 21. The skill that adults lack, the skill that most people lack, systematic patience. If you have a vision for something, I had the vision at 15 and 21. I told you, you find a system to execute. I went to the library, I picked up a book. It told me a system. You execute in that system and you wait for result. You do not. When Bitcoin came, I didn't care. When the gold rush came, I didn't care. When NFTs came, I didn't care. When silver came, I didn't care. When antique cars came, I didn't care because I knew that I was systematically executing something. As long as I executed it over very long periods of time, I was going to have some relative success. People don't know how to do that anymore. And I feel bad for people about it. But isn't that, not to get all, and I just very quickly, but isn't that what traditional and social media does? It scatters you. You get so scattered because you flip, this process, that process, this dude did this girl did this guru says this. You're so scattered, you don't even know what the hell to do. And then next day you get right back on social media and you do it again. This goes back to the mental diet and controlling my environment thing that I told you. There were 6 books in my life. I'm sure we'll get to it, but I have stuck with those 6 books. I can quote pages out of those books. If someone asked me which interview in Money Master the Game that Mary Erdos said something, I can tell you which interview it was, and I might be able to name the page. It's not that those books or those systems were the best. It's that I became the best at those books. And if people would just grab one thing or 2 things as a primary, go have fun with some other stuff. Just as a primary, never let it go. by extension, if your outer world is a function of your inner thoughts and your inner thoughts are slammed with those resources and tactics, eventually your outer world has to catch up. It has to. So all those things that I read, financial freedom, time freedom, I get this real estate, I'm going to pay off this real estate, I'm going to raise this money. Well, all right, I'm going to take as long as it takes to do it. And I got there. People, it's like lottery winners. That's why 85% of lottery winners lose all the money. They've never built up the skill set to maintain it or to multiply it. So they're going to waste it. That's my soapbox for today. It's very important, man, because people will not get anywhere, especially Black and brown folk, because I can say that because I am one. We're already starting at a different position. We're getting scattered. And it's not 20 million. It's cover your basic needs. It's $5,000 a month. It's $8,000 a month. And then you are not beholden to the employer. You don't have to take the promotion. You can go travel then. And then when you travel or when you do a business or when you talk to someone like Roger, what people don't realize is those life activities start to compound on each other. Do you know how many people I know around the world? And I'm not talking about small, informal relationships. I mean, like deep, meaningful, I can land in 30 countries today and somebody's going to pick me up. There is no amount of money that anybody could ever give me that could exchange the value of those relationships and what those people have taught me and shown me, because I stuck with everything that I've done for decades and I never quit.
Wow.
That's
I
what I
love
want
that.
people.
I love that. I'm telling you, this has made my entire day, my entire week. I mean, you've just given me so much mindset in what you've shared because it's staying power, discipline, follow through. And one of the last questions I'll ask you
Yeah,
is
yeah.
I saw something that you posted, and you've reposted this multiple times. It might not be the same right now, but you had a morning routine where you
Oh
would
yeah,
take
yeah.
lots of hours throughout the week to be able to help you to accomplish your goals. Can you share that with me?
Yes, I know the post you're talking about. I still do. So I was at the gym today at 3:45 a.m. Now, I'm 49, brother. I need my sleep. But I still went to the gym. My morning routine is a little bit different, but what's not different about me is my belief in quiet. I do meditate now. Actually, so this is what I'll tell you. So my morning routine for many years, even when I was doing the police stuff, but it was kind of weird because I was working from 8:30 p.m. to 6 in the morning. But effectively, like Maurice, how did you build all that stuff? When did you find time? No, you have time. You're not committed to it, but I was committed to it. So if you work 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., okay, or whatever, before the kids wake up, 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., 4 hours a day, that's over 5 days, that's 20 hours a week, 80 hours a month, 960 hours a year. You've created 5 weeks of time. If you add another 4 hour block on a Saturday and a Sunday, that's 2 months. You have time. Now you compound that over 20 years. I've created like 6 years of time. So, hey, but okay, Mo. So you said you were in a police car and so you weren't working. No, I was in between calls. All right, so I'll go do a burglary. Kim Wenlin is a business partner of mine, and she was notorious when we were starting Quattro. She would text me because she knew I was out on the road, and she lives in Texas, so it was an hour behind. So it'd be like 1 o'clock in the morning. She's up. She's like, "You on a call?" And I'm like, "Nah." So she'll call me. We would have business meetings. I'd be like, "Kim, I'll be right back. I gotta go handle this robbery." I'll come back to the station. All right, where we leave off. Or I'll go to 7-Eleven. All right, where we leave off. And I would sit there and do work in the car in between calls. No, you have time. My question is, are you committed to it? Are you committed to it? Now you can go back to the office, to my IT firm and your software firm, and we can be undisciplined and go hit every happy hour, every networking event, every employee resource group for the purposes of kissing somebody's ass. So maybe in 2 years you get promoted for an extra $3,500 a month and another 200 employees that you're responsible for. No, we have time. You just committed to the wrong kind of it. I was committed. I'm still committed. I was still at the gym today. But my morning routine is now different because I've become a very faith-based person. I'm a high believer in subconscious. I meditate a lot. I speak with the man. I believe he manifests himself through me, through my imagination and the way that I behave in life and how I help people. I crave morning hours because of the quiet. So I was up today at 3. I was at the gym by 3:45 and I was incline bench pressing today. I was hitting it pretty hard. You would think I was listening to some old Rakim and Eric B. and Rakim or something. No, I was listening to a lecture by Dr. Joseph Murphy from 1963.
Wow. Wow. That is
It's
amazing.
different now. You get older, you start to learn all that systematic patience that I talked to you about. When I had a vision, I found a system, I executed in it, and no matter how long it took, I got there. What I fundamentally understand that to be now was that I was manifesting. I had a vision. I demonstrated faith through systematic patience, and the outer world eventually caught up with my inner vision and my inner thoughts. And no, it doesn't poof pop up. But what happens is you get these visions or you get these instincts, you have these thoughts, which is why I never told anybody. I didn't want them corrupting my head. You have these thoughts, and because you have those thoughts, you'll have these spurts of inspired action, like having a business call in between two robbery calls. My morning routine now is much more internal, but I still hit the gym like 3-4 times a week to the extent possible. But yeah, man, you can create time for sure.
Wow. Maurice, this has been a true blessing. I am just floored. You're talking about The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. I actually organically read that book about 3 months ago. So when you mentioned it now, I was like, that's what you were talking about on the podcast when I heard you talking, because that book is really amazing. And I would highly suggest that the listener goes out and listens to that or reads that book, because it's just phenomenal. But I'm serious, Maurice. This has been so wonderful. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be able to chat with you. And, people need to go find you on LinkedIn. I think that you shared that on one of your podcasts that you got rid of some of your other social medias. They need to find you. They need to get in contact with you. They need to listen and hear more of what you have to say, because I think that no matter what their background, no matter what their walk of life, that there's so much value that can be communicated because you've been so intentional. There's all these lights, and then there's a laser beam, and you've had laser beam focus on things, and you've been able to achieve monumental success that some people can only dream about. And I think it came truly from your ability to be intentional, and you had that vision at 15, then you held on to it till 25, you continued on till today. So please, I know this has been a non-traditional episode for the person listening today, but help us. Where can people find you? Where can they get in touch with you? How can they learn more about what you have to do, what you do? How can they get to know Maurice Philogene a little bit better?
Yeah. Well, first, thank you for having me on. And I know that I can ramble a bit nowadays, but I think it's because I've learned, those 5 freedoms. I talked about purpose freedom to execute your purpose. It used to be military for me. It used to be being a police officer in my neighborhood. But now I think it's helping people try life on. I think it's helping people design their life such that they have the best experience possible while we are humans. We are fundamentally spiritual creatures having a human existence. But while we're having a human existence, we shouldn't be defaulting. Status quo is the default language. It got rammed into us for 20 to 30 years of formal education, but we can make a choice not to follow it. We just have to unprogram. So by far, the best place is trylifeon.com. So TRYLIFEON, trylifeon.com. All the newsletters are there, man. I pour into that stuff. I really do. Obviously, the Try Life On podcast. Email address is maurice@trylifeon.com. I probably respond to 99% of what people send. So I'm always active. LinkedIn is a great place. It's just Maurice Philogene for all the reasons that you and I have connected. It's a wonderful social tool, and I respond there as well. And then they can find my real estate business through the Try Life On website as well. But my business is Quattro Capital, thequattroway.com, the big real estate stuff. And then if someone reaches out, I always reach back for sure.
A couple things. Thank you so much for your military service and your background.
Yeah,
really do truly appreciate that. Do you still coach people one-on-one? Because I went through your platform. You still do the one-on-one coaching? Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
It's there. It's the one-on-one coaching is there. And then I do like consultations, but what's new for me, I said I would never do group coaching. I fundamentally had a problem with it because I think people are so unique. My version of success should not be anybody else's. It's just applicable to me. But I did start a mastermind. It's been going on since January. Floored by it. I'm floored by it. And to see 10 professionals and humans who get to be kids again and realize that they are 100% in control. They're exiting the 9 to 5. We're building businesses together. We're doing real estate deals together. I have flown to Paris, LA, Frankfurt, and I'll be in Slovenia soon to see some people who are in there. So yeah, I'm definitely doing the coaching, and it's my joy because I think everybody should have a lifestyle they don't need a vacation from, the way that I created my own.
Wow. Never apologize for rambling. If I had Ray Dalio or Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos and they wanted to talk for 15 minutes straight, I'm going to be quiet and I'm just going to listen to what they have to say, because you have just shared so many impactful things with us, and it can meet us right where we are because you're right here. You're you're here, you're present, and I just appreciate your openness. I appreciate you responding back to my request to interview you. I mean, you was right there. Yeah, sure, I'd be on. I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So
My pleasure.
thank you so much, Maurice Philogene. This has been an absolute pleasure, and I cannot wait to talk to you soon.